Remember, in the course of discussing movies, the host will spoil plots. You've been warned. Listen to their screams. Greetings, ghouls and creeps, and welcome to Listen to Their Screams, a horror podcast that feels like you're chatting with friends. I am one of your friends, Dave. We're joined as always by our other friend, Ike. Ike, how are you?
Not doing too bad. I think I say it often, but I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. But, I think my life is in a perpetual state of sleep or hunger. So,
Same.
but it is what it is. We can always keep plugging away knowing dinner awaits after this is over.
That is true.
Motivation to just buzz through and get it done. No, just joking. But thank you for joining us. However you do, make sure you subscribe to us. Give us a rating and review. Before we dive into things, we'd like to send out a thank you to our wives, Monica and Kayla. They will be on very, very soon for another installment of Wives Rebuttal. That will be here before you know it, and I guess good times will ensue for all. But on today's episode, we are reviewing the movie Founders Day, which is out in theaters now. But before we get there, we have several things to discuss and talk about. But before we dive into everything, Ike, did you watch anything this week?
I did, actually. I watched a few things.
All right.
So obviously I'm still doing my watch of the show, The Originals. And I am keeping up to date on some gameplay of that new horror game, the Five Nights at Freddy's Help 1 and 2. But I also cut out some time to watch a few horror movies, and it was not intentional, but all of them happened to be on Hulu, so shout out to Hulu. So the first one is from 2019. It's called Haunt. Basically, a group of teens find I think teens, young adults, whatever. They locate a kind of weird haunted house. It's very secluded. They just saw some posters for it. And some sketchy stuff ensues, and it's a very intriguing dynamic with the concept of a horror haunted house where maybe you don't make it out alive. So yeah, it's really good. It's on Hulu, relatively new. It's pretty violent, I'll say. I wasn't expecting some of the gore that it had, but it was pretty solid. Let's see. I checked out Zombie Town, which was the R.L. Stine movie from last year.
Oh yeah.
Not gonna cap with you guys. It was very slow. I didn't even finish it. So I went into it with a positive mindset. I was like, it was probably just gonna be something cheeky, but it was just way too slow. It didn't really make much sense. So I cut out a little early. Maybe I'll try it again when I have a longer attention span. But then the other movie that I watched that honestly, it was really good. I think it would make it within my top 10 for last year. The movie It Lives Inside. So we talked about this movie, and I'm pretty sure, we weren't going to review it, but I remember I was going to go see it in theaters, but something happened and I ended up not being able to go watch it in theaters. I honestly can't remember. It was sometime last year, so. But it was on Hulu, so I gave it a check, and honestly, it was really good. It was definitely a different take on the kind of concept of a possession movie. And the end is a little twisted. It's interesting on how they decided to end it, and I think it opens it up for a sequel. So. But yeah, it was really good. It Lives Inside is solid. It's on Hulu too.
Interesting. I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, it was the one where we kind of talked about it, but it was supposed to be like a haunting movie, like a possession type movie, but it was not Judeo-Christian haunting. It was like from the Hindu culture. I don't know if
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that now.
Yeah, because I remember we talked about it I brought up the point that a lot of times when you watch a haunting movie or a possession movie, it's heavily Christian based. It's always demons and stuff like that. So this one kind of takes it a little bit of a different twist to, it's not necessarily like a Christian demon. It's specifically a Hindu demon or some kind of entity that they talk about in the movie. It's really good.
I may have to give that a watch.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Especially since I didn't watch anything else this week. I was too busy and too sick. So, yeah, nothing was watched that I can recall at least. So, boo on all that. So, I have nothing to contribute.
He's like, I saw nothing but the ceiling while sleeping.
Pretty much, yes. It was not a good week, but I'm on the upswing of the coaster, so there's that to be said. But so yeah, so hopefully I'll get to watch a bit before next week. I was trying to think if there was anything, but there wasn't. I don't leave nothing. So
Nada.
not a thing. So we'll move on. So we'll move on then to our weekly segment,
Stump the Co-host.
And this week we are going to do our first installment for 2024 of Stump the Co-host. This is the first round where Ike will try to defend his crown from last year, as he held on my late year run to try to come back, but I just couldn't quite do it. So Ike was the 2023 trivia champion for the show, and we'll see if he can defend his crown, or if I got to get off to a better start. I can't keep playing from behind. So we'll see what happens today. So Ike, are you ready to play?
I think so.
For the listeners at home, Ike and I have identical horror trivia decks, and each card has 2 questions on it. So we each choose 2 cards. That is 4 questions in total. We alternate asking each other these questions, and whoever has the most right after the 8 total questions between the 2 of us wins this round. If we have a tie, then we just leave it at a draw. Because if we don't, the entire episode can be spent just hoping one of us gets something right. So, all right, Ike, since you're the defending champ, I'm going to make you go first.
Sounds good.
And your first question is, what 2012 film stars Ethan Hawke as a true crime writer and featured a demon named Bagul?
Bagul. That would be Sinister.
That would be Sinister.
Man, good one.
I could have got that one. Damn. All right, bring it on.
You got this one. You ready? Where do the survivors in Dawn of the Dead take refuge?
In the shopping mall?
That is correct. It specifies it's the Monroeville Mall, but yeah, I mean it's a mall. I mean who knows the name of the mall? It's a shopping mall.
Yeah. I get a question like that. I always have to pause and think, man, is this a trick? Am I not remembering something? Is it? All right. Your second question. What 2016 film centers around father and son coroners investigating the death of an unidentified beautiful female corpse?
That would be The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
It would be indeed.
That's another good one.
I have not seen that movie yet, so see, I wouldn't have got that one. So, all right. Now bring on my second one.
You got this one too, don't worry. This 1993 horror comedy starring a young Jennifer Aniston involves an annoyingly vengeful creature who believes a family has stolen his pot of gold.
Well, I would believe this would be Leprechaun.
It sure would be.
That's a good movie.
That is a good one.
All right, we're on a roll. Nobody's missed anything yet. Your third question. What 2005 movie contains elements of both the supernatural and a courtroom drama?
What the hell? Oh no, oh my god, I know this one. It's like The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
That is correct.
There you go.
Woo, boy, this is a barn burner.
For those who are from the Midwest, that means like a stalemate. I realize barn burner is kind of a Southern thing, maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
All right, you ready for your question?
I am.
All right, I think you got this one too. Who was the host in the Tales from the Crypt TV series?
Well, that was the Crypt Keeper.
It sure was.
Woohoo! All right, so it comes down to the last questions.
Oh.
And here is yours. What 2008 French horror movie involved the flaying of the main character in order to allow her to reach a state of transcendence. Yikes.
Yeah, so that sounds intense. Is
I'm
that Martyrs?
It is.
Okay.
Oh,
I've
no.
not seen it. I've heard it though. I've heard of it.
Pressure is all on me to pull out the draw here. Oh, okay. Here we go. I'm ready.
All right. Based on a book written by Jay Anson, what 2005 Supernatural remake stars Ryan Reynolds and Melissa George?
Fuck. Based on a book. Damn, I should know this.
I would focus more on the Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I am, but for some reason I'm shooting a blank of what movie, even though I should know this. Oh, Ryan Reynolds, why are you doing me wrong? Damn it, I am. It is like right there. It is like right there, but I just, for some reason, I cannot think of it. Shit. I don't know. I'm gonna kick myself, but I do not know.
It is the Amityville Horror.
Yes! Oh, I knew that. See, I knew that. But for some reason, I just could not. Damn. Damn.
Double damn.
Well, crud. So, there you have it. Right off the bat. At least I put up a good showing, I guess. But right off
as
the
you
bat,
said, a barn burner.
yeah, right off the bat, Ike then takes a 1-0 lead for 2024. So, bully on you. Damn. Well,
It was close.
I guess. Yeah,
it's like in a wrestling match when you kick out of like 3 of my finishers. I mean, like. Oops,
yeah, you can try to be all positive and say it's close, whatever else, because you won. But it's just on my end, it's just like whatever. I just got beat. It doesn't matter how close. That's a loss
fair.
is a loss.
In the famous words of Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last.
That's true. Oh well, so we'll take a pause here so that I can cry a little bit. And when we come back, we will have all of our news, birthdays, and anniversaries, so stick around. Make sure you subscribe to listen to their screams on your favorite podcast platform. Also, make sure you look us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, and Slasher. All you have to do is look up Listen to Screams, that is Listen, the number 2 in Screams, and you can find us there. Also, make sure you go and buy yourself a Listen to Their Screams t-shirt. You can find all of our shirts at tinyurl.com/Screams Shirts.
Spread the news. Spread the news. Spread the news. And we are back with the news. All right. We have Night Swim coming to own and rent on video on demand. Night Swim was all right. We reviewed it not too long ago. It was an okay-ish movie. So, it was there. It's a thing. So if you haven't watched it yet in theaters, check it out on video on demand.
Mm-hmm. We reviewed this, a couple episodes ago?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. 2 episodes ago. So it wasn't last episode. It was the episode before last, I think. But, anywho, moving on to more important matters, there is more public domain fairy tale horror coming soon. Alice in Horrorland will be released on DVD on February 13th. The team that brought us Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, in the upcoming sequel will also be producing Bambi the Reckoning and Pinocchio Unstrung. Both are rumored to be out late 2024. So obviously this is super exciting. We both really like the Mean One. I want to try and watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey before our next episode. Because I feel like we constantly reference it, but neither of us have seen it.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it? Okay. Well,
yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. So
yeah. It's fun. It is not a great movie. Let's don't mistake it, but you're not expecting it. But it is a fun movie. And I don't know why I'm just enamored with all these little fairy tale horror because they're just cheesy fun.
They are.
And I mean, we've got the Mickey Mouse stuff coming up. It's just, I'm sure there'll be more. And man, I'm all about it. It's just, it's just fun. And I'm all, I am all about having some fun. And no disrespect meant to Disney and their movies. I love Disney movies, and many of them are absolute masterpieces and works of art. But if Pinocchio is going to get jiggy with it and kill some people, hey, I'm all for that too. So
get jiggy with it and kill some people. I like it.
People need to understand that most of these stories preceded Disney. So people all the time want to bitch and moan. It's Disney, you're ruining it. Come on. These stories were pre-Disney, and many of them were much darker than Disney polishing them up. So we're not a lot of these people are just returning more to the roots than what Disney did.
Very true. That's very true.
I mean, in Grimm Fairy, the fairy tales and whatever else, Cinderella, they cut off her foot to try to put it in the glass slipper.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Sometimes my feet just don't fit my shoes. Cut off a couple of my toes. It works.
Can't go out barefoot.
That's true. That's true. But there you go. Keep an eye out.
You got to carry Von Erich. Oh,
that's right. Oh,
inside joke for some people out there. Look it up, guys.
Too soon. Iron Claw just came out. Come on.
Let's say, what do you mean too soon? He lost his foot like 30 years ago.
that is also true. That is also true.
Oh, wait, no. I mean, 40 years ago.
Yeah, I guess in the 80s. So, yeah, 40 years ago. Damn. God bless. Oh, man. The wheels of time do not stop spinning. Anywho, moving on. A new Jurassic World movie is coming in the future, and it is reported that David Cope, who wrote the screenplay adaptation for the original Jurassic Park, is writing it. The movie is rumored to have a 2025 release date. I love the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies. I'm kind of tired of seeing Chris Pratt in them, though. So if we can cast any other white dude other than Chris Pratt in this next movie, I'd be cool with that. But here's what I'll say. I do like the Jurassic World storytelling, sort of the concept of, well, there's this island and it's still there, and they traffic the animals back and then the animals start to proliferate. That's great. I like that concept. So I'm very curious, where they'll take this next Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, I love all the Jurassic movies, and I mean, different, varying degrees, but the first one is just an absolute perfect movie. Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even tell you how many times I saw it in the theater. I worked in a department store right next door to a theater. The summer it was out, and I would work all day, get off, and go over and watch it. And I did that for probably 3 weeks every day, and love that movie. So that if the guy that adapted and wrote the early movies is coming back on board, I'm excited. But I'm always down for whatever. Even the worst of the Jurassic movies are still fun to me.
Absolutely, I love dinosaur movies. Those are great. Mm-hmm. Should need more of them. All right. So that pretty much does it for news. Moving on to some upcoming birthdays. Starting us off strong, we have January 25th, 1963, Don Mancini, the creator and writer for the Child's Play series. We would not have our favorite sadistic serial killer doll without Don here, so a big old happy birthday to him.
Yeah, I mean, Don literally had a hand in writing all the original Child's Play movies. Some of them, he wrote with other people or whatever else, but he has writing credits for all of them. So good, bad, or indifferent, he was there. So he is the guy that came up with this concept, and a lot of it has to do with different Twilight Zones and different episodes of this and that, and then he says that the Cabbage Patch Kid craze kind of inspired him to think of, what if these dolls were killers and things, and he birthed the whole thing. And so no matter what you like or dislike of the franchise, there really wouldn't be a Chucky without good old Don.
Yeah. And even if you dislike, and here's something too, even if you dislike, a horror movie, or if you dislike Child's Play, you cannot debate, or what's the word I'm looking for? You cannot deny, that's what I'm saying. You cannot deny the impact Child's Play and Chucky have had on the horror genre. I mean, it's insane. I mean, you think back to, like, this is the original sort of, like, doll flick. You know what I mean? The original killer doll flick. And, you know, we've had a lot of great movies since then, like The Boy. There's, you know, you have, it's a little kiddish, but you have, like, Night of the Living Dummy from the R.L. Stine books. I mean, those are iconic.
Annabelle.
Annabelle, absolutely. Annabelle.
I mean, even up to like Megan and things like that are kind of, you know, in the same vein and
they are
the same concept. So, yeah. And again, we've discussed the Child's Play franchise. You know, there's an episode out there in the archives if somebody wants to go back to it. And I love it as a whole. I really do. But you know, there's obviously varying degrees, but the first one, man, it's a great movie. It is fun. It is clever. And it was unique and different, and it was something. It was a great idea. And I mean, to the fact that, I mean, look how big Chucky is now with the series and everything. I mean, Chucky's stayed relevant in one capacity or another. You know, I understand people talk about, you know, Freddy and Jason and all these guys, but let's be real. While those guys are iconic, who's been more prevalent in pop culture overall? I mean, has Chucky ever really gone away for that long? I mean, when, you know, and I'm not saying, you know what, I'm not arguing which is best, which is not. I'm just saying Chucky in the Child's Play franchise, they have found ways to keep it active, keep it relevant by switching it over to the series. They've made it fresh and put new life into it. Whether you hate it or you don't, you got to respect it, man. They're doing a lot right.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that out of all of the, I guess you could say, horror icons, Chucky has maintained the most relevance, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's never truly gone away for any extended period of time.
I mean, you know, even like you said, even today, we have a TV show about Chucky. I mean, old Mikey, he ain't doing shit right now. I mean, old Mikey just, you know, and old Ghostface is just in the shitter right now because, you know, the studio can't get their shit together. I mean, Jason's trying to get his shit together. You know, we got the Crystal Lake TV show coming out. But I mean, if you think about it in terms of, like you said, pop culture and social relevance, Chucky's insanely relevant. I mean, I go to, I always go hunting for horror shirts at like Ross, TJ Maxx, and I would say like a good like 70% of the shirts at these places are Child's Play shirts.
Yeah, I mean, it is so merchandised. It's,
yeah.
You know, you go to conventions and so many people are cosplaying or have tattoos or whatnot. And it is literally, it's like they know, you know, when they get to movies that weren't doing as well and getting shit on, they're like, okay, well, let's switch gears, right? Let's do a series. And it's, I mean, they know what they're doing. They're not these people who are, I don't know. I mean, some of these franchises get a little pretentious and this and that. And you know what? The Child's Play is just out here saying, you know what? Fuck it. It's a killer doll. Let's have a good time. Have some fun. I mean, the new series gets meta as fuck at times. Yeah. It brings back, you know, lots of shit from all the movies and franchises and puts them in clever ways. Lots of actors and brings them in. I mean, they're not afraid to just say, it's just horror, right? It's not, you know, it's a doll that is possessed, you know, by a person killing people. Okay. Realism's not in the room right now. So let's just have a good time. And, you know, and I don't know. I mean, I love Chucky. I love Chucky and the Child's Play franchise as a whole. I think it's a great character. And everything else. And like I said, do I rank it up as one of my favorite iconic characters? It's up there, but it's not in that, probably not even top 5, but it's probably top 10. But I have others that I like lots more. But bias aside, man, I can't deny that Child's Play, I don't know. I mean, they are one of the, I'm not saying they're impactful, but they are one of the horror franchises that knows how to keep themselves relevant, probably more than anybody else.
I was going to say, they honestly exist as an anomaly because no other entity has that level of relevance, at least in the United States, in terms of pop culture. So,
yeah, I mean, they know how to keep themselves in the public eye, and they've done it consistently. there's never been more, a big lull where we haven't had something going on. And even when there's not, here we are waiting for the rest of the series and there's gaps and whatever. It doesn't matter. You still find Child's Play merchandise everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And it's not like they're gone. And they're still, they have there's an active social media presence. They tweet as Chucky. And it is absolutely spectacular. That's how you should do it, right? That's the best way to, because even when you don't have something out there, you have your character out there still and interacting with the fan base, and keeps it relevant and keeps it fresh. And so, like I said, I know we're just in the birthdays, man. We spun out big on this, but a lot of people, Don Mancini's a name that, diehards know, but a lot of people are like, everybody knows Wes Craven. Everybody knows John Carpenter. Not knocking those guys, but damn, let's be relevant. Does Don Mancini not deserve some mad props for what he's created and done? And he's had his finger in his pie the entire time. So, and I'm not arguing content. I'm not arguing, output. I'm arguing just the impact and relevance. And say what you want. Child's Play does it best.
Absolutely. Got to agree. All right. There we have it. We talked way too long about Child's Play, but that's quite all right. That's quite all right. All right. Moving on. We have another very important birthday. January 25th, 1943, we have Tobe Hooper, the co-writer and director of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie also exists as a very important and very relevant film within the film genre. It is one of the first of the, I think it's called like a grindhouse horror film. It kind of pioneered the genre. For people who maybe don't know, grindhouse films are typically low-budget horror, splatter, and exploitation films. So the original, Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie was, it was so different. It flipped the genre on its head and acted not only as a great horror movie, but it acted as a sort of an interpretation of consumerism and everything else. So such a great movie. It spawns so much great content. Everything from comic books to sequels to video games, and we still see it today. Just last year we got the Texas Chainsaw video game, which is pretty great. I like it a lot.
The original movie is it's iconic. It is right up there, one of my favorites. I love it. Leatherface is a great character, and that's not even spawning into some of the other great side characters that have in these sequels and different things and whatnot, when the family branches out and whatever else. But Tobe Hooper is just great. And he's done so many other things too, but obviously, at least in my mind, so closely associated with Texas Chainsaw because I love it. I cannot sing the praises of that original film enough. It is it's so damn good. It's better than so much stuff that's put out now with bigger budgets and better producing and whatever you want to call. I still enjoy it head and shoulders above a lot of it. And, it's just, again, one of those guys, he gets his flowers. He gets his praise, but he deserves every bit of it, deserves more. And obviously he's no longer with us, but, he's, again, changed the face of horror.
Yep. That's absolutely correct. And then, our last birthday this week is a very special entry. January 27th, 1953, we have Joe Bob Briggs, who is a horror host as well as a pretty audacious cameo master. He was in both of the Scare Package movies, which we both really liked, and he was in The Barn and a number of other movies that.
Several things.
And he great guy.
The Last Drive-In. It's on AMC. Or excuse me, it's on AMC, but Shudder's AMC/AMC Plus. I love Joe Bob because it's the whole mutant family thing. It's just what is great about it is he's a callback, a throwback to horror hosts, right? He have this thing of these horror hosts, showing movies and whatnot. And he does this, right? But he does it in a modern way. Where it's, he's not doing it weekly, but he does it every month or whatever it might be. And, but what's best about him is, man, he truly loves the genre, truly knows the genre. I mean, obscure shit. I mean, he's so knowledgeable. And, I mean, it's just, we need guys like him out there, pumping this up and promoting. And then when his show, streams and debuts on Shudder, there's so much social media activity around his show and so many people online talking about horror that it's great. That's what, whether you watch it or you don't, or you like him or you don't, or you care or you don't. I mean, we need people out there supporting horror and doing this kind of stuff. And, and he's out there doing it. And I mean, I love Joe Bob.
I do too. I need to watch more of his stuff because I've seen The Last Drive-In like once or twice. But it's really good. I mean, it's just good stuff. It's just fun, good shit.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to our upcoming movie anniversaries. Starting us off strong, a movie I have not seen all the way through. January 30th, 1991, Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs exists as an icon in, horror movie history and, is the only horror movie, as we found, that have won an Oscar in the last 50 years. Perhaps the only horror-esque movie. I have seen parts of this. I know, quotes and whatnot from this, but I have not, unfortunately, seen this movie all the way through. So, much to my shame.
Yeah, I've talked about this movie countless times, so I'm not gonna talk about it anymore necessarily. It is a great movie. All I have to say is, Ike, when you gonna watch it? When you gonna knock this one off that list?
I need to just do it sometime. I just need to get in there, watch it, and just, I will, I'm not going to promise, but I will try before our next episode.
All right. This should be pretty high on that list of watching. I mean, it's a classic movie. It's so entrenched in pop culture with the references and the lines. And I mean, people use those lines that have never seen the movie, but you need context. You got to watch this movie.
Absolutely. I'll have to.
I'm so tempted to say, let's just pause what we're doing. Go watch the damn movie. But if we do that, it delays my dinner, and I'm not going to do that. So
that's what I was going to say. It's going to delay my eating time. So
you don't want to see me when I'm hangry.
That's true. All right. Moving on to our other anniversary movie this week, January 31st, 2003, Final Destination 2. Final Destination 2 is a very worthy sequel in the Final Destination franchise. Some of those movies get a little, buck wild after a little while, but at least Final Destination 2, in my opinion, acts as a worthy sequel that does tie off a couple loose ends from the first movie. I love it. Final Destination is a great franchise, and I hear they're making more.
Yeah, I like the Final Destination movies. I believe I have seen all the Final Destination movies. But it has been so long since I have watched these. I couldn't tell you what Final Destination 2 is all about. I'm going to be real. I can't tell you one from the other anymore because it's been so long since I've seen any of them. And, when you go with that gap, all that stuff kind of, starts to blend a little. When you have that, a format that overall But I do know that, I enjoy the Final Destination movies. So many of them, it's like when you're out and about and you see certain things, you're always like, oh, you're like, driving down the road behind a log truck. I'm not sure which one that's out of, but, it always makes you say, oh, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to follow this truck. I've seen Final Destination, and so, but whatever the case may be.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's the second movie. Well,
there you go. That's irrelevant. I haven't rewatched those movies in so long. I forget which is which, and I really should dive back into them. I believe I own them all streaming, or at least the majority of them, and I just don't. I haven't. And here I come on every week saying, "Oh, I didn't get a chance to watch anything. I didn't get a chance to watch anything," and there we go. I could dive back in and do a Final Destination rewatch.
There you go. Love that. All right. And like I said, I'm pretty sure they're coming out with another one. I'm almost positive I read that they're making another one, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that actually happens.
I think it's been a while, hasn't it, since they've done one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last one probably was like early 2000 or late 2000s, like 2008 or 9 maybe. I'm gonna look, but yeah, because
How many have they actually made now?
So let's see.
I don't even recall that.
Yeah, we have Final Destination, Final Destination 2, 3, The Final Destination, Final Destination 5, and then, okay, so Final Destination 5 is the last one that they made, and it was from 2011. This is the one where the bridge collapses.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that.
And I believe this one, is it this one? I think this is the one that acts as a prequel to the entire series. Because I think the end credits, I don't know. I might be wrong about that. But one of the movies acts as a prequel to the first movie before they get on the plane.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's this one or a later one.
So they have not made a Final Destination since 2011.
Yeah,
right?
So so that's 13 years. But according to IMDb, Final Destination 6 is in pre-production.
Yeah, okay. That's a gap for a franchise. But again, with a franchise like that, it's like, can you truly make one of those every 2 or 3 years continually without giving a break somewhere? I mean, I don't know. I think you have to, the old adage of, how can you miss me if I don't go away? You have to, I think that's a franchise you have to give it a little time, because again, you're playing on that, death as an entity, death as a character almost, causing these things, causing these accidents. And, I don't know. I feel like they need to maybe introduce some new entity to it as well. Something to work with death, like a fate or something like that, that partners with death. I'm not partner. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing shit against the wall, seeing if anything sticks, but it looks like it's just all running. So
I see what you're saying though. Basically, rather than death being like this intangible entity, it would be interesting to maybe have like an avatar of death act upon its will, maybe, or something to that regard.
Maybe it's like, they've always portrayed, not portrayed, but death always feels like it's almost like a character in it, right? Because it does certain things and it's unavoidable. But that's kind of like a fate aspect of it, right? Because, that's, if something's bound to happen, that's fate. So what happens if, I don't know, what happens? I don't know. Maybe they've done, I don't know. Again, it's been a while, but what happens if something is avoided, and what's the butterfly effect from that? And how does it truly cause things to spin out of control and really cause a lot of crap? I don't know. I don't know. I was just trying to think of something fresh they could put in there, but you know what? Let's just kill people in unique ways and call it a day.
There you go. All right. So I think that finishes our birthdays and upcoming movie anniversaries. So we have some upcoming releases, of course, that we need to discuss. I'm actually really excited about this one. I've heard a lot of great stuff about this movie, and we didn't get to watch it last year, so I'm definitely curious to go and watch it. But on February the 11th on Paramount Plus, we are getting Last Voyage of the Demeter coming to stream. So definitely this is one that we did miss last year. I don't think either of us got a chance to go see it in theaters. This is supposed to be sort of a more like book accurate version of like Dracula, if I remember correctly, like of a vampire tale.
Yeah, it's based on a specific chapter out of the original Dracula book. As part of the voyage of, if you watch like the original Dracula, it picks up after Dracula's voyage from England to the States.
Yeah.
This is about on the ship when he's brought across. And, so there is a chapter in the original Bram Stoker novel where, this is pulled from, which is the time on the ship coming across. So, always looked really good. I really wanted to go see it in the theater, and we never did. There was so much other stuff going on and some other movies to see, and just never got to see it. So yeah, I'm excited that it's coming to streaming.
Absolutely. And then we also have X coming to Netflix on February 1st. This is strange to me because if I remember correctly, wasn't X and Pearl on HBO for the longest time?
Yeah, I believe so. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if the rights just the rights thing. The rights are up, so I don't know. But I know it is coming to Netflix. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I haven't paid attention to know if it's, and I didn't really research. Maybe I should have. I don't know if it's been off streaming for a little bit, if there was a gap, or if it's just strictly going from one to the other or whatever else. But I felt it was important enough to notify people that might, with Maxine coming out, supposed to be later this year, which is Maxine's the direct sequel to X, and Pearl being the prequel to X. That people might want to rewatch X, so it'll, no matter how you shape it, it'll now be on Netflix if you want to rewatch it or watch it for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, I think that pretty much does it for our news, upcoming releases, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it was kind of a light week when it came to birthdays and anniversaries, but hopefully our vast discussion of the importance of not only Child's Play but of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre kept you guys enthralled. Sometimes we get off on tangents, and today that's quite all right. So
it's best not to get in the way and just let it roll, because when those thoughts come, because here's my view. I feel like there's a lot of listeners that probably have those same thoughts.
Yeah.
And so you know what? I'm going to verbalize them, and we should verbalize them and discuss them because it's important. Don Mancini, damn it, is important enough to talk about. And he's got a birthday coming up. If we take a few extra minutes to talk about it, that's okay.
That is all right. That's right. But all right, you guys heard it here. You've heard all the news. Make sure you follow us on social media, keeping up with everything that we're doing. We like to post basically anytime that one of these events or items comes about. So make sure you're keeping up with us. You know what I mean? It's like keeping up with the Kardashians, except for we're not millionaires. We're not we don't have a lot of plastic surgery, and we're a lot less popular. So that's
and our dads didn't help get OJ off.
That is correct. Hey man. No, I'm just kidding. I was about to make an OJ joke, but that might be a little too tongue in cheek. So, anywho, you guys, before I drown myself in thin ice, you guys follow us on social media, and when we come back, we will have our official review of Founders Day.
Listen to Their Screams is now a Fangoria collaborator. Get 20% off your order at shop.fangoria.com by using the promo code LISTEN2SCREAMS at checkout. That is listen, the number 2, and screams. Or you can click the link in the show notes.
All right, and here we are back on Listen to Their Screams. It is review time, and this week we are reviewing Founders Day. Nope, contrary to what you think, this was not part 2 of our Child's Play discussion. From earlier episode. No, we're actually reviewing Founders Day, which is now in theaters and was released on January 19th. It is written by Eric and Carson Bloomquist, directed by Eric Bloomquist, starring Naomi Grace, Devin Druid, and William Russ. The movie is described as a small town is shaken by a series of ominous killings in the days leading up to a heated mayoral election. So, Ike, why don't you kick us off? I usually ramble right out of this, and I've rambled enough about Child's Play and Texas Chainsaw and and Joe Bob Briggs and how you need to watch Silence of the Lambs and blah, blah, blah. So why don't you kick us off and tell us what you thought of Founders Day?
Absolutely. So we're going to start off here. Founders Day, well, first and foremost, before I say that, just a small backstory. When I went and watched the movie, I went and watched the movie on a Friday night, which I typically never do. It just happened to work out better that way because I typically prefer to watch them on Tuesdays because A, the theater is less busy, and B, the tickets are cheaper. Movie tickets are expensive, man. So, but it just worked out better that we went and saw it on Friday instead, and there was nobody in this movie. Only one of the theaters in my town had it, and the theater that did have it only had 2 show times. It was like 2 p.m. and like 7:55 p.m. So, take that with a grain of salt and keep it in mind as I proceed now with the actual review of the movie. So, Founders Day to me I don't want to say I didn't like it, but I want to say what I did like, and then I'll say why I didn't like it. First and foremost, the movie had some interesting kills. The movie had a somewhat interesting storyline, albeit convoluted, incredibly convoluted. I won't completely spoil it for you folks out there, but let's just say that this takes like the twist from Thanksgiving and like adds about 14 more layers than it really needed. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it had a very interesting story. A lot of the kills are very creative, and it had some decent looking-ish effects. There were some hokey B-movie effects. There was a scene where a guy gets stabbed in the stomach and his blood's spraying out like a geyser, which definitely is not true or accurate for that, but I digress. So for the positive part, the movie had some substance to it. It had some very interesting acting choices. There are a few people I recognize, but for the most part, I mean, this movie had a lot of, I would say, lesser known people from, Hollywood, I presume. But outside of some of the positives that I've mentioned so far, I do want to give special spotlight to Naomi Grace, who plays our main character, Allison Chambers, who, in my opinion, was probably the star of this movie. She reacted, I feel like, how anybody would react to this situation for the most part. And she really sold the final dilemma of this film, whether or not to keep the secret of what happened or to tell everybody what really happened. And she really sold it well. And in my opinion, she very much, she acted as if she was torn, and it was a very tumultuous decision. So I really want to give her a special spotlight and say Naomi Grace did so good, so fantastic. She was a very bright light and a somewhat dim movie. So now to the bad stuff. This movie was way too convoluted for its own good. This movie attempts to tell you who the killer is, but rather than tell you who the killer is, it basically goes on a rap sheet of about 14 billion people who were involved in this whole plot. The movie, it's obviously political. It obviously exists as sort of honestly, I'll be real with you guys. I ain't gonna cap. This is supposed to be basically the 2016 election, but on a smaller scale. Literally, it's a woman and a guy who looks very much like Donald Trump in the movie. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to cap. I'm not going to talk about politics, but I just have to point out that the similarities were there, and I think that they were there intentionally. So, I don't know. I think it probably could have done without that because I felt like it was distracting. I felt like it was stupid. But anyways, so that was there. It was definitely heavily political, very driven by modern politics in the real world. And it exists solely, I think, to spoof or, I don't know, make fun of that whole process. I don't know, really. But like I said, it was very convoluted. I didn't really care for, like I said, the whole, like, political part of it. Like, I'm fine with political horror movies. I've talked about this a lot. But there is such a thing as being too on the nose, and this movie was way too on the nose. Last thing before I turn it over, because I know I'm kind of rambling here. The last thing that I want to say that I didn't like about this movie is it definitely, it felt like a B movie parading around in a trench coat, acting like a big budget movie. So I definitely feel like this movie did not have quite as big of a budget as some of the other major horror movies, either this year or last year. But I felt like they really tried to make it seem like it was a high budget movie, but it's like when you go to McDonald's, you can tell that, this burger is good. It's tasty, but it's probably not as good as the burger I can make at home. You know what I mean? So that is my so far, synopsis and feeling on the movie. I'll turn it over to Dave now to see what his thoughts were.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. Here's the thing. We've talked in the past about movies that try to be too smart and clever for their own good and just can't pull it off. I feel like this was definitely one of those. Sometimes, direct, sometimes even predictable. It's not necessarily a bad thing per se.
Right.
Predictable gets a bad rap, but when you try to be too clever for your own good and this and that, it a lot of times gets in the way of the storytelling that you have. And yes, you are correct. Politics and political topics have always been in horror movies, always. But 99% of the time, it's veiled and it's portrayed differently. It's not just straight up politics, right? You take those topics, you take those concerns, you take whatever they are, and you put it in a different context, right? With the of the Dead movies and the commercialism aspect and all the different things that have movies that have done this, but it's not. You don't just put it out there. I understand the concept of trying to take politics is a hot button topic. It's a very divisive topic.
Yeah.
So I guess I can see trying to utilize it. At least it was smart to try to put it down to calling it a mayoral election and not, but that doesn't hide the fact of what you're trying to do. And I almost think it's almost too divisive a topic to really just blatantly dive into and try to do. And, I mean, and I don't know, there's been some scary stuff involved in politics that it's like, do we really need to just satirize it a little bit? Do we really need to poke at it a little bit? Because there's some straight up legitimate scary stuff that's happened. So maybe we should just not, let it be. And if we want to speak on it, then let's put it in a different setting and speak the same message. So I don't know. It didn't really hold me. It didn't really catch me. Like you, I thought it was way too busy, too convoluted, too involved. I don't think it got home quick enough for what it should and everything. It just, I wasn't a big fan. And I was very hopeful, right? Because I thought, maybe it can, be clever enough, but it's like they intentionally tried to be clever as opposed to, clever just naturally being a part of what you're trying to tell.
Right.
It's like, it's so odd because it's like in 2023, we had so many movies early in the year that just kind of seemed like they floored us. And we were like so excited that, oh my God, this is just, we're out of the gates. We haven't even got to summer and we haven't even got to fall. And here's this, here's Megan, here's this and that and whatnot. And we haven't even got to the big releases yet. And this year, so it's like we come into it with all this optimism of, oh, here we go again. And it's like, so far, I feel overall, it's been kind of lukewarm. And, we're still waiting for that first movie of 2024 that really kind of floors us. And, I don't know. I don't know what that will be. I mean, there's obviously some movies we're really looking forward to, but what's going to kind of be that first quarter standout for us? Because there were several movies early in the year last year that did that. And it's like this year, I don't know. It's like we're not coming out of the gates quite as strong for some reason. And I don't know. I don't know what that is, why that is. I didn't go into Megan last year expecting to enjoy it quite as much and whatever. And it did. So it's like even movies like this and whatnot, where I'm not necessarily expecting to be blown away, they're just not doing it though. It's like they're not overachieving on me. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess so far we're just not quite a month into the year, and I don't know. I'm a little disappointed with the horror output so far, and maybe February will be better.
Yeah, and actually one other thing I wanted to add to about this is so I remembered, I just happened to remember this just now. I saw the trailer for this last year, and it was around the time that we saw the Thanksgiving movie. And I was like, this feels like Thanksgiving. And I would still stand by that. I would stand by that to some distinction. This movie feels eerily similar to some of the themes within like Thanksgiving. But it also just kind of feels like some weird like political whodunit mixed with like, I don't know, Purge Anarchy or something like that. It just, and kind of to add a little bit, like Dave said, you can have politics in movies. We literally even talked about it earlier. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a very subtle, criticism of consumerism and things like Dawn of the Dead and Get Out. Get Out is a very powerful, subject matter. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm sure somebody's going to be mad if I talk about it. But Get Out also talks about a very important political matter. with systemic racism and things like that. So it's very easy to do politics well in horror movies, and then I don't know, it almost made too light of what I would say are serious things in life, and I don't know, it kind of, and maybe this was the point. It just kind of made it feel like politics are all just a big joke to people, and don't get me wrong, it is a huge fucking joke, but not for the same reason. So yeah, so I don't know. I just, it didn't strike me the right way. Maybe I'm not the intended audience for this movie. That's another thing too, is maybe I am not the intended audience for this movie. And that is something that as a critical thinker, you have to think about is, am I the intended audience for this film? Was I the person that this film was made for? And I would probably say that wasn't the case for this movie. It just didn't strike me the right way. It didn't tickle my fancy, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, but on the same token, then who do you think was the target audience for this?
If I had to give a guess, if I had to take a guess, it would probably be people who sided with a certain orange individual during a certain election. If I had to take a quandary, because the movie, in my opinion, very very heavily favors that side of the conversation, at least on film, and very much so I could be misinterpreting it. And I didn't let that cloud my judgment. I went into the movie thinking it's just a movie, but it definitely felt like it was definitely leaning that way, and at first, and it definitely paints a very interesting picture if you look at it from an exterior perspective. So, like I said, I don't want to go too deep in that, because I don't want to bury myself, because I could be wrong. I could be completely misinterpreting the intention of this movie. I could be completely off the fucking wall, off my rocker. But I just don't think it was for me. And that's not to say it was even a bad movie. It was just, it didn't strike me the right way. The story, the message. But like I said, I give huge props to Naomi Grace. She was fantastic in the movie. She did great. Very, very much a smart, quote unquote final girl. Very much a smart final girl. Yeah. Much different than a lot of the stereotypical, final girls, if you will.
Yeah, the dumb final girls.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, the dumb final girls, which is 99% of horror.
With, some of the 80s horror who just luck into being a final girl because they're a virgin or something,
Right, yeah, for real. That's honestly the case, for real.
But I have to say, I watch a movie like this, and my heart yearns for those days when the simplistic horror rules apply.
I know. That's weird. That's weird.
Yeah, well. All right, Ike. So then, what are you giving Founders Day and out of 5 screams?
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I don't know if I'll go back and watch this movie. After a lot of reflection, I'd probably give it about a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay. Well, then, I was kind of leaning towards about a 2 out of 5, which is about, par for the course. You're typically just a touch higher than me on movies like this. You're a little more generous than I am on it. But, not much. I mean, again, the movie was what it was. I didn't really super enjoy it, so I can't really give it a 3. Just it wasn't enough there to catch me. Political, whatever, messages aside and whatnot. It just, still just, I don't know, wasn't enough there. Or maybe there was too much there that took away from, I don't know, it's hard to describe. So we're going to give it that's a cumulative, or I guess an average. I guess cumulative, I always say cumulative, but I don't guess that's the right term, is it? It's not really cumulative. I guess it's an average. We've done this for over a year, and I'm just now catching that I don't know why. Maybe I just like the sound of the word cumulative. It sounds so sophisticated to say.
It's a 10-point word.
Makes me sound like one of those smart final girls, not the dumb virgin ones, They're the dumb ones that say average. I'm a smart final girl who says cumulative. No, okay. I will use the proper mathematic term, because I'm sure there's lots of mathematicians that listen to our fat asses talk about horror movies.
True. That's true.
It is, along with what else? What was it we said earlier? I can't remember who we said last episode. If somebody was listening, and I was like, yeah, right. Like that person never be listening to us. So it's an average of 2.25, 2.25. There we go. So take that for what you will. Again, 2024 is off to a slow start for us. Something needs to kick it in the ass and give us something that we can really gush over. Cause man, we're generous guys. And, if there's not something there that we can't find more to praise for, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because if we're giving movies 2s and 2.5s, there's a lot more critical thinkers out there who are giving it much worse than that.
I was going to say, I might be generous, but I think that you were also generous comparatively.
Yeah.
Because I think like when I looked like on Letterboxd and stuff like that, Founders Day was not getting the greatest reviews. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's Letterboxd, so take it with a grain of salt. But
Yeah. Well, like I said, we don't. Yes, we take into account the acting, the lighting, the camera angles, the shots, blah blah blah. We take, of course you have to, right? But our thing is overall the enjoyment and the fun, right? When we rate something, we're not saying, is this award worthy? We're saying, did we have a good time? Did we enjoy it? And one heavy component that I always put into it is the rewatchability for me, right? Is this a movie that if I'm saying, okay, what do I want to watch? Granted, not lately since I don't seem to be watching much, but if I was going to watch something and scrolling through, would I be like, oh yeah, Founders Day, hell yeah, I'll rewatch that. So I that plays into it for me too. We're not filmmakers, so we don't, we're film junkies, film addicts, maybe if you want to, there might be a program for us, but so it's more based on enjoyability for us and the fun, aspect of it and rewatchability as such. So you can call us generous. I just say we're fans. And, so it is what it is. My life doesn't hinge on whether I like or hate a movie. So like some people seem to think it does. Not that I'm knocking anybody's passion.
True.
But you know what? I'm going to get up tomorrow morning, shower and have coffee and go to work just like any other day, regardless if I like the movie I watched tonight or not. So.
True that. I will say, we're talking about the outlook for this year. I think that there are some good movies coming, like The First Omen, Imaginary. There's a movie it's a movie that's kind of under the radar, maybe. I don't know. I just happened to hear about it the other day. It's called Late Night with the Devil.
Yep.
That looks pretty good.
It's like got a talk show kind of aspect of it, right? Where like a talk show breaks on someone who's seemingly possessed. It looks pretty clever. And
that one looks good. Return to Silent Hill I'm pumped for.
Yeah, all these movies you have spoke of are on our calendars to review too. So, we've got some holes, but yeah, those are all on there. I'm super stoked about Imaginary. I don't know what it is about that movie that keeps jumping at me. I'm not sure why. It's why. There's always, there's a movie called Baghead coming out I've heard good things about that we're going to watch. Lisa Frankenstein sounds really clever and, a good concept. Like you said, The First Omen, Late Night with the Devil. There's a movie called Abigail, which is, what's her name? Melissa Barrera's next movie, horror movie she's involved with that looks really, really good. And like you said, Return to Silent Hill, the new Strangers movie. And there's lots of movies I'm looking forward to. But I just feel like I said, the early year has been a little soft for us.
I'm pooping out.
Yeah. And so maybe that just means, maybe we're got a bell curve going here, right? Maybe we're going to hit our stride soon. I'm hoping, but next week or next episode, we are going to be reviewing the movie Here for Blood, which is out in theaters and on Screenbox on February 9th. So this will be actually before it's released to the general public. We do have a screener link for this, courtesy of Screenbox. Thank you very much, guys and gals. And so what? This is the one that we discussed, I don't know, an episode or two ago in one of our upcoming discussions where this is the former or the current professional, I'm not sure what it is, who fills in for his girlfriend to babysit while she's overwhelmed with finals and such. Sounds very, very fun. Sounds, like a good time. I'm all about, putting a little professional wrestling in the horror movie. I'm a fan of that. So I'm hopeful, right? I'm hopeful. we just said it's been kind of so far. Come on, Screenbox. It's time for those streaming services to say, hey, if the theatrical releases aren't doing it, we're here for you. So I'm hoping that I just have a gut feeling that I'm really going to enjoy Here for Blood. That's your cliffhanger. So tune in next week and see if I really do, because I won't just lie just to make sure I'm not, I'm not a false prophet here. So
you of the false prophet.
I am a prophet of the streaming horror genre. No, I am, but I am looking forward to seeing Here for Blood again. We will try to keep it. We'll keep it light on the spoilers.
Yeah.
Since our episode will be out a week prior to the release, but we will give you an honest review on what we thought of it. So hopefully we enjoy it and we can get you super pumped and psyched for that. Contrary to what we think, we do hope you will watch it. Again, it has a limited theatrical release and it'll be on Screenbox on February 9th, but it will be on our next episode. We will be reviewing it, courtesy of Screenbox. So that is what's coming up. So Ike, before we close out and get out of here, I mean, this is I don't know. I feel like this has been a very weird episode. I feel like for some reason we've been chattery. Is that even a word? Chattery?
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, well, there you go. I don't know if it means what I'm thinking, but
I think so.
I feel chatty. I think it's just chatty is what I'm looking for. I feel like we've been very chatty off the topics we had in mind. It's like we strayed, which is okay. That's fine. That's the way conversation works. But we've touched on lots of stuff and talked about Child's Play and talked about Texas Chainsaw and talked about how fucked up January horror has been so far and this and that and blah blah blah, and chatted a little bit about how politics should fit into horror movies, and we've really ran a gauntlet here on this stuff. So before we close out, anything else you want to throw in there? Because apparently this episode, the floor is just wide open. You can just throw whatever you want out there, I guess, and we'll talk about it.
Apparently. No, nothing for me to add. Just everybody out there, make sure you check out some more horror movies. The more horror movies you check out, the better ones we get. It's gotta be the case.
That was a little disappointing, Ike. I felt like I set you up, put the ball on the tee, and like a little 3-year-old, you just hit the tee out from under the ball and didn't really make contact on that one.
I wasn't prepared. I think I got everything out of my system earlier. I don't know, man.
Well, okay, then let me throw this one out there. We talk about birthdays all the time on this, right? We are recording this on January 24th, right? We always record the day immediately before release. So this is right. January 24th. Today is the, whatever you want to call it, the in-world birthday of Dean Winchester of Supernatural. So happy birthday, Dean Winchester. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, wait, I guess in the timeline, Dean's dead. So this is more we're remembering Dean on his birthday.
That's true. R.I.P.
Yeah. I just felt like we got through an episode and I didn't mention Supernatural, so I had to shove it in there somehow. Because I feel like I mention it every episode in some way.
You have to. I mean, it's Supernatural's life.
It is my life. So. All right, then. Well, happy birthday, Dino. I don't know what else to say. But, so go see Founders Day. Formulate your own opinion. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you thought. We hope you enjoyed it, even if we didn't necessarily, whole hog love it. Maybe you will. That's fine. That's fair. We all have different tastes. It's a big, big world of horror, and we're all entitled to our own likes and dislikes. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. And next week, we'll be discussing Here for Blood, which we hope you will all count down to seeing that on Screenbox February 9th. But until then, wherever you go and whatever you do, be good, be safe, and have many pleasant nightmares.